It being 9 p.m. at 9 a.m., call the meeting to order, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
We have agenda submitted to us. Entertain a motion or anything to do with the agenda, the changes? Nothing. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Bob,
I'll second.
Greg, second. For the discussion. There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Carried. Minutes of the previous meeting from March 7th. Any additions or corrections?
Make a motion, we approve minutes.
Motion is made, second. I'll second it. Further discussion? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Carried. This time it's open for public comment. Any public comment? Any public comment? Looks like all those on the screen are for business, and there being no public comment, we go on consent agenda, which there's nothing on this time. And now action items. First action item is consider awarding low bid for the historical courthouse roof replacement to Equity Builders and Construction Services in the amount of $174,630.
Morning, Commissioners. We received two bids. We are recommending the Equity Builders bid at $174,630. Their references have been checked, their previous projects. They have a good reputation for coming in at budget. The other bid was considerably higher. That it included items that weren't necessarily on the original request. And we have today with us CDG's from Collaborative Design Group, the firm that is overseeing this project on our behalf, Craig Melkert, who can speak to any questions you may have.
Go ahead, Robert.
Mr. Melkert, with regard to the low bid that we received versus the other one, is there a potential for a lot of change orders?
No, I don't think so. There might be some unforeseen conditions when we tear off the roof or get into some of the wood repair. So there might be some rotten wood that we encounter along the way, and but I don't foresee anything else. This contractor does have a good reputation for not asking for change orders just because they feel like they need to enhance their bid. So I don't anticipate a lot, but I do think that you should carry a contingency in your project budget to account for unforeseen conditions.
There was like a 10% contingency built into it already?
There's nothing built to the contractor's bid for a contingency.
That's what I was asking. There isn't nothing built into it, so.
No.
If that's their bid, why would we want to add a contingency just for them to raise the? I mean.
I'm not suggesting that you add a contingency to their contract. I'm only suggesting that you reserve some funds in your own budget to account for anything that we run into along the way, because there likely will be some rotten wood that we encounter. It's something that we don't know, and I didn't want to put something in the bid and have them increase their costs just for something that we don't know about, just as a guess.
Craig, is it fair to say that, it's my understanding that we, when determined the wood trim and what we might need to, account for that, you did build into that, original document an estimation of running feet that may need to be used and some other factors so that we were comparing apples to apples. Is that correct?
That is correct. So for the wood trim, for example, which is mainly the repairs that have to be made up on the tower, I've included an allowance. In the bid documents, I've included that the contractor provided an allowance of 300 lineal feet of wood trim that needs to be replaced. They've also provided a unit price for that wood trim. So if it comes in at 200 lineal feet, then you get a credit back for 100 lineal feet times their unit price. If it comes in at 400 lineal feet, then that's where that unforeseen condition of additional, that's where a change order may be come into account, where you have to pay for that extra 100 lineal feet times their unit price. But the benefit of having the unit price is that we don't have to negotiate a cost with them later. And the change orders are fair, both to you and the contractor, because we've already established that unit price.
So they're allowed to do change orders.
Which could go down.
Only if
Right? Or
only
which
if
could
they're
go up.
authorized.
The estimated, Craig, I'll ask you this as well. The estimated reserve that you're suggesting is still would be well under that second bid
Oh, correct. Yes.
by a considerable
Oh,
amount of
yeah,
money.
it's 36,000, 20%.
Correct.
So.
And obviously a contractor doesn't have a free checkbook just to spend your money any way they want. They have to, if there is a change order, it has to be approved before they can do the work.
So Craig, that extra 9,000 on the alternate bid is actually for if it were metal versus shingle.
That's correct.
But I talked to you on the phone about this, but you're concerned with the metal of the integrity on the steeple part of it. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so. These metal shingles come in sheets. If I remember right, the sheets are like 14 inches tall by 53 inches long, and they interlock. And which is great when you have a large field of shingles like on the main roof, but I'm concerned about with all those small pieces that are going to have to be cut, that it's going to be a real challenge to get a good quality installation and get those metal pieces to interlock properly. And so it's my belief, my recommendation that we proceed with the asphalt shingles that I had originally specified for the base bid. It's a very high quality shingle. It comes with the same type of class 4 rating classification for hail damage and wind resistance as the metal shingle does. And actually it comes with a better warranty. So in my opinion, I think you're just going to get a better quality installation with the asphalt shingle than you will with the metal.
I meant to say tower, not steep.
Okay.
Yeah, I understood what you meant.
Yeah. So yeah, and the fact that if we were to use metal on some of the main parts of the roof and then shingle on the tower, that wouldn't match up. So I guess that option is
Right.
out. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Any other Robert?
Are there any, I can't remember the roof right now, are there any valleys where the shingles come together in a valley?
Yes, there are quite a few valleys.
And then are they going to put like an aluminum valley in before they put the shingles on
Yes.
top?
Yes. Yep, there's a color coded metal valley tin that goes in all the valleys.
And you're gonna have somebody on site to inspect periodically?
That's correct. I will be there periodically to observe the work.
With binoculars from the ground?
Uh, well, hopefully I can get up there with them. And if not, I use my drone for inspections, get up close photographs.
And from what I understand, they want to start work in April.
They'd like to. They're finishing a project in Austin right now. And if it works for you guys, he would like to just move that crew right over to your courthouse.
That sounds good, so we can have it ready for the parking lot coming up later. The summer or whenever that's gonna be, but any other questions, thoughts, comments? What's the feeling of the board?
And make a motion, we accept Equity Builders Construction bid for $174,630.
Is there a second?
Second.
Other discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Carry. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. for
thank you so much for your help.
Thank
See
you.
in April.
Will do.
Okay, number 2 is consider approving sheriff's office reporter upgrade, Trip Sweatberg and.
Morning.
Good morning.
I believe you all got the attachment I sent for the MacTech quote. All we're doing, looking to upgrade the recorder system that's required. And it'd be coming out of the 911 funding money.
This is the same company that we currently use right now. It's just an upgrade to the system. The server is a server 2012 that's going to sunset in October. So it has to be upgraded or there won't be any support to move forward after that. We'd be on our own after October. So they'd be installing a new server and then a new upgrade to the existing system called Capture 911. A higher ground product is a company that
You said
provides it.
2012, was that when this last system was installed?
And that was before my time. I know the server couldn't have been purchased before 2012.
So. And how long will this server system last? Is there? Can they decide to upgrade again, or you got 10-year deal, or?
Andy maybe could answer that a little bit better, but so in looking at it, a 2012 server lasted until it's upgraded in 2022. So this one 10 years, but in the tech world, that's more Andy's.
It's Microsoft uses their names, server 2012, server 2022. That's the server OS name is what it is. The server's age, I want to say, is just over 7 years. And that's what we would expect to get out of a new one. They're consumable, they run their software, they do their thing. We're kind of in a unique situation with how we have our phone systems with Ascentech and Motorola and recording radio traffic as well as phone traffic. So we've got this system massaged into place, and it was a battle. So the story is that we are on. It has server 2012 on it. Server 2012 is going end of life. We're going to be forced into changing, and so by sticking with MacTech in this current solution, we can keep status quo. Although we'll get a new box and it will run. So.
Is this an already budgeted item?
Yeah, it's the 911 funding.
I'll make a motion to approve that. Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion, question? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Eric? We're up.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey, next one is consider awarding courthouse parking lot bid. Brian.
Yes, we received bids on the courthouse parking lot. We bid it out two ways. One is, the base bid is where the contractor would do all the work except for the removals. And then there's an alternate bid where the contractor would do the removals as well. If you look at it, if the contractor did not do the removals, the low bid would be Dunn Blacktop at $268,882.73. If the contractor did the removals, that would change who the low bid contractor is to Zinke Inc. with a bid of $296,165.05. So that is a difference of what about 28,000? We ran some numbers on what we would estimate to have our county staff do the removals. If we have, we estimate that would take 5 guys, 50 hours of work, then you have the equipment to go along with it and disposal fees for that. So time you add all those costs together for our staff, it amounts to a little over 40,000 worth of county labor equipment and disposal costs. So based on that and the bids that came in, the most cost-effective solution will be to award the contract to Zinke Inc. At the total of $296,165.05. So that's my recommendation today.
Zinke get the cities.
Zinke has the city's work, so they will be in town for 3, 4, 5 months this summer. They said they could pretty much do the work whenever we want them to be here. So if we wanted them to start right away this spring, they can bring in a crew, get it started then. If we wanted later on in the summer, they can do it then, kind of whatever works best for us. So we coordinate that with what's going on up on the roof for the courthouse. And then also by them taking the control of the removals as well of construction, we don't need to worry about, us doing the removals, expecting the contractor is going to come in the following week or 2 weeks later, and next thing you know, their schedule gets pushed back and we have maintenance efforts there. So it kind of takes that, puts everything on to Zinke for the coordination.
Well, maybe we'll do ours when they're in town. It would be the best.
Yep. They'll hopefully do it with the same crew. They might pull in the second crew. But yeah, and then if there's any issues, even after they pull back out, they'll have staff here in town still to jump over if needed.
Has the city established a start time for it on their end?
So, we're waiting. Just keep accessibility. So,
Robert,
So when you said you were gonna break it up into phases, are you gonna do a block at a time? Get the underground work, the rock done, and then just put a binder on?
yeah, pretty
And Don's gonna come in,
bring it back up to rock. Block and then move on to the second one.
they'll come in and pave all at the same time.
Assuming he starts in May, I would say by one.
Oh. Our parking lot project, if he's doing the work, would be in conjunction with like phase 3 of yours. The roof could be done. And it wouldn't have to sit gravel too awful long before Dunn's come in to do the to do the paving.
Yeah, I think it sounds like April. Yes, they're gonna be done backed up right here. So,
It's just a coordination issue.
I'm sure you guys can get along and coordinate, so that'll help. I think
definitely beneficial to the state contract.
Were you guys looking at doing Washington Street from the courthouse going west to Kingston as well?
It was discussed last year, I guess.
We don't, I mean, I don't think we care, but
Yeah. It's one of them streets that it needs to get done. And I don't think it's gonna survive the construction of approaching into it. I think once it's opened up, it's gonna fall apart. But that was the pocket.
not the underground, just replace the circuit.
When we first looked at this project, we were thinking a couple $100,000. Now we're up to 300,000. I'm starting to question. Is this a wise investment to do for the cost? I mean, we could buy a lot of gravel, we could buy a lot of seal coat for our regular county roads for this price, and what are we gaining here on this west lot parking lot improvement? We're not gonna gain a whole lot of parking spots. I could see where we should fix the drainage issue there in that one storm sewer. I just question if this is a wise move or not. Seeing as how it's almost 300 grand.
I think it's a good investment from the perspective that we're gonna improve the handicap access, we're gonna improve the sidewalk access to the building. We're going to, I mean, the parking lot has some really bad spots in it as far as the drainage. We're going to improve the drainage by adding a catch basin so that it's not all going to one place in the parking lot. And I think it's 11 stalls we pick up, or 14 stalls, something like that.
But you're cutting off that street, so there's no parking on that street anymore. So you're
We
maybe
still pick that up because we're also only having one driveway in off of Kingston, so that hazard as far as having that driveway right close to the intersection is mitigated, and we pick up a couple of stalls on Kingston to make up for some of the 4 that we lose on Washington. So we still pick up 11 stalls overall.
is that right, Brent?
I don't have the plan with the exact numbers in front of me right now. I can definitely
I think
get it from the
picked up
office,
3.
but
well,
No,
one
we're in the
thing,
teens, what we pick up overall.
one of the things is, as we all know, the bituminous and all that stuff is going up, labor is going up, things are gonna be more costly to do in the future. Tend to agree with Robert about the improvements in the parking lot, more handicap, making availability. It's an improvement that should be done. And you walk by there, and I walk across it every time I come through here. There's a lot of places that we continue to leave it as is. The potholes are gonna start getting bigger, and the mess is such that I think it's time to get it done, especially if we connect it with the aesthetics of the rest of the streets around the building. The parking lot to our south here is quite nice. We'll blend in with that, so I think the benefit, I know it's about 100,000 over what we figured it might be, but we're all finding out that costs ain't going down.
Well, we talked about using some ARPA.
Is that what we're doing?
Carol, did we have ARPA funds figured for this?
230,000.
Majority of it's covered by ARPA and 60,000 for maintenance from our offers, basically.
What is the ADA compliancy with the
spots there or? The handicap park.
So currently, there is no direct ADA route from the current stalls. You need to go behind the vehicles onto the roadway, around over to the main entrance door. The new plan, by shifting stuff over, puts those handicap stalls into a parking lot with the striped 8 foot wide hatched out area in between. You go up the ADA compliant ramp onto the sidewalk and into the door. So fully ADA compliant with that versus currently, walking behind the vehicles in the roadway to get to the building.
Currently, it's not compliant.
It is not compliant currently.
This plan doesn't include the vestibule from the west tower.
It is not. There's a concrete area. A vestibule could be, whether it's 8x10, 8x8, 10x10 vestibule that could be added in that concrete area around that in the future. So there's space for it. But it's not actually built or included within this.
I think that's something we should maybe really look at, because they big leap. We go ahead there and open the door and nobody was there. So I mean, a lot of heat goes out of that door when it opens by a snowflake or a leaf, or, I mean, I've seen it happen a couple of times where a leaf and fly by that detector and the door opened.
Well, at least we can get the parking lot done and in the plan to, in the future, put the vestibule, as we want to put that something separate. I think the parking lot is in need of repair, an opportunity to do it in a good manner, and so. So Robert,
I'm in agreement with everything you said. Mostly paid for with ARPA dollars, take some out of the county reserves, the contract reserve. So I'll make the motion that we approve.
Okay, go ahead.
I make the motion that we approve the parking lot bid of Zinke Incorporated at $296,165.05.
motion's been made. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
Move the roll.
Casey had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Kind of a first piece of information. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe our pump block.
Yes.
Okay, so. To develop the 25% plan. So. Atmosphere, whatever responsibility is.
East Washington.
From Kingston, great. Or elsewhere.
Not included in our price.
So the price of the asphalt,
I'm just asking, the 296 does not include redoing. That one block or half block section of.
tell you what, if you want to table this, I can get that answer on, I don't have the breakdown. But I don't think I can look it up on here. I think that the asphalt quantity does have that little block of Kingston included in the asphalt quantity. So some of that cost will be picked up by the city and not the county. So there might be a reduction in the quantity if that portion does not be done on the paving. If it does get done, then a reduction in quantity that we would pay for, city pays for that, but then they assess some of it back. So the cost of the county wouldn't go up. It would actually go down slightly.
Hear about that?
And like I said, I can call back to the office if you want to table this and come back before you're done with the meeting. I can have that answer.
I spoke with
Could save something, that's fine.
Oh, we already got a motion on the floor.
Motion, it's been seconded, so it's on the floor.
We'll go for roll call.
District one,
Yes.
District two,
No.
District three,
Yes.
District four,
Yes.
District five.
Yes.
And then coordinate the timing with,
Then
On
the
that.
city.
So it's official that we're gonna take 230 of ARPA money to go towards this project? I mean, did we vote on that, Carol, for that?
There wasn't a vote.
that's
There's this designation, right?
strictly a designation at this time. Do we need to vote on that
You should-
soon? We can't do it today, but we should have it on the agenda for the 28th.
And there's going to be the discussion at next week.
Okay,
Regarding ARPA and then. the next meeting. Votes.
so as of now, we've dedicated or set aside or planned 230, and we could even change that number if a bit funds were available, because we haven't made a final decision. Okay, so that's good thought too. Okay, thank you. Next is gonna be consider accepting bid CP 2023-01 for stockpile of aggregate, class 5 deliverable maintenance rock for various highway jobs in Houston County. Brian.
Yeah, so this is something we do on our, we had maintenance rock to our roadways, every year. Half the years is on the road surfacing, half the years is for shoulders, so. This year is for road surfacing, so we bid it out, by the road or by unit price, but it gets, split out by the road. So my recommendation today would be to approve the low bids, based on the roadways. So Bruning Rock would have County 5, both portions, 5A, 5B, County 8A, 11, 12, 19, 20, 22, 23, 31, and County Road 249. And Milestone Materials is the low bid on CASA 28 and 32. So total cost of all those added together is about $308,500, about $308,000. So recommend approving, said all those roads except for 2 to Bruning Rock, 2 roads to Milestone Materials. Our budget for this was 400,000. So my recommendation today actually would be to approve these, and I would like to have the authority to exceed the quantity by 20%, and it will keep us about 40,000 under budget. But it still allows us to put a little bit of extra rock out there since the budget allows for it. The remainder would cover other potential overages that we have throughout the year. And if over the next month or two we find out that we don't have the money available, we can still go back down to the original bid quantity amount.
Your request is for the 308 with a 20% contingency as needed,
With the 20%.
or plus.
Plus a
With or
20%.
plus.
308 plus.
I make that a motion.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Is this coming out of the stockpile or they put it on? Or we put it-
They drop the rock on the roadway and we spread it and compacted and stuff, so.
Any further questions, discussion?
When they do that, Brian, there always was a tax issue, whether they get taxed for spreading or not. Is that, how does that work again, or does that change? Somehow you get taxed if you spread it, if you pile it, you don't, or am I making?
No, I don't have any tax differences. Yeah, I mean, the price they quote to us is our cost delivered to the roadway. Yeah, there's a prevailing wage issue on how they drop that rock on the roadway when we contract it out. But it's not a tax issue. That's how they pay their employees.
Question any further? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Carry. Next is consider approving all quotes for CP 2023-02 for aggregate rock stockpile.
Yeah, so this is something we do every year. We bid out rock and a stockpile in the quarries. So when we have maintenance projects around the county, if we need to go pick up a few loads of rock for culvert replacement, or if we have any type of disaster, flood damage, we need to go get materials quickly. We know exactly what that price is from each contractor around the county. We always try to get the rock from the cheapest source once factoring cost of trucking. So you know, if we have a project by Caledonia, we'll use the quarries that are close to Caledonia, whatever is the cheapest one that has rock available, the one that we will go with. So we approve all of these every year and then we use them as needed throughout.
What are they charging?
Yeah, so it varies. Every contractor is different. So if you look at, you know, aggregate class 5, you know, the low bid is $8.45 per ton. The highest is $13.95. So you know, quite the variety. Most of the quarries are, you know, for that item is $8.45 to $9 a ton. But depending on the material type, it can go up, you know, riprap's higher, quarry run riprap, shot rock is the cheapest. So depending on what we need, it'll change that price. Yep.
It depends on too where your project is, where you need it. And sometimes the higher priced rock is a better deal because it's close, right next door or something.
Yes, and that's why we accept them all, is because we just never know where we're gonna be at and how far that trucking is gonna be.
Something we do every year.
Yep.
I make a motion, we approve quotes for our acreage stockpiles throughout the county.
I second that. Further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, say nay. Carried. Next is consider approving all quotes for CP 2023-03 equipment rental.
Yep, so this is similar to the rock. It's when we need to have equipment out there on a job site that we don't own it ourselves, don't have the capability of doing the work. So we put this out there, again, use it during floods or disasters. So we have but this year it looks like we have 9 contractors that provided quotes to us on a variety of equipment. So again, recommend approving all the equipment rental, and we'll use the cheapest rental that's available to us at that time as needed.
And closest too.
Well, look, distance doesn't matter as much on this one because it's
Okay.
just that availability and the cost. So
Good point. But we need to have them available and ready to go. I saw quite a variation in price on some of that equipment,
absolutely, yep.
some of the trucking. Entertain a motion. So move. Okay, second, is there a second? I'll second it then. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Carry. Next is consider accepting low quote for CP 2023-04 for crack filling. The following roads are on schedule to be repaired. That's County 3, County 33, County 8, Counties 26, east and west, County 15.
So this one, I'm gonna recommend we table it today and bring this back up in 2 weeks. The low bid on this project is substantially below the other bidders, and we haven't used them before, so I want to do some background checking on them. So recommend come back on March 28th.
I move that we table it.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carry. Yep. Good check on that. Quite a variation. Number 8, consider approval to award low bid for CP 2023-06 seal coating.
Yep, so we bid out our seal coating contract open bids yesterday. We had 4 bidders. Low bid was $507,220.22. Our estimate was $536,181.10. So it came in under our estimate. Our budget was $500,000. So we recommend approving the low bid Scott Construction Inc. for this work.
And those are, which roads on it? Anything particular roads on that?
Yes, but I don't want to say offhand what those are because
But you have a list. I mean.
yeah, we talked about 4 or 5 different roadways and I don't want to say a road that ultimately got taken out and we put a different one in. So, it's a roads we paved last year and I just don't know the final road that we added in offhand. I
Is
can't
this chip
recall.
seal or strictly slurry seal?
Nope, this would be a chip seal with a fog seal over it. So we'll do the thin layer of oil, rock down, then a spray of fog oil over it.
Still gonna regrind 16.
Done business with Scott Construction in the past, been happy with their work, so I'll make a motion to approve.
There's a second.
Second.
For the discussion. Being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Carried. Number 9, consider approving contract and MinDOT to move forward with MinDOT Houston County 3 at the Brownsville intersection, preliminary design and passing resolution 23-11, MinDOT partnership agreement, work order and authorization. Does this coincide with number 10 also?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, number 9.
Yep, so this needs to have the resolution and the MnDOT partnership agreement approved. So a little bit of background on this. We've been talking about looking at the intersection in Brownsville where our CSA 3 and County Highway 3 meets up with Trunk Highway 26 for years or potentially decades. I know it's been in discussion since when I came to the county 15 years ago. So what this agreement is for is we're gonna utilize 59,000 of MnDOT LPP, a local private partnership funding to help look at some design of what can be done with that intersection to improve the access or the connection at that intersection. The number 10 for the agreement with the consultant, we met with consultants about a year ago. Selected Stonebrook Engineering as the consultant that we prefer to do this preliminary design. Their contract is $70,925.90. So since MnDOT would pick up 59,000 of it, the county's portion would be just under 12,000. So this would be just for 30% plan to essentially figure out what is that ultimate solution down there. Maybe for the cost to do a project ends up being that, the best option is to leave things how they are right now. Maybe they'll come up with a different solution. And then depending on that result, we'll look at doing another contract for a final design and get into construction. So this is just kind of the first phase of a multi-phase effort.
So the first thing, number 9 action thing is to have a partnership with MnDOT.
Partnership agreement, work order.
Yep.
Resolution 2311. I make that a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. It's been on a hot topic for quite a few years, that intersection. Very with it.
It does not necessarily mean we're gonna come up.
No, it's just, this is just an agreement to work with the state. Right.
To get
Possible solution.
It'll be a tough one for the engineering outfit, so. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Carried. Lisa's in the number 10 is considering approving the Stonebrook engineering proposal for preliminary design of 26 and Houston County 3 intersection in Brownsville.
Yeah, so as I mentioned previously, so we solicited RFPs for firms. We interviewed them with the Public Works Committee commissioners and myself about a year ago at this time now. So this has been sitting here on my topic. I've been talking to them for a while to make sure that they're on board, ready to go. So the proposal has a cost of $70,925.90 based on unit price costs. So that cost could vary a little bit, but we're going to try to hold into that number of hours the best we can.
Okay. And, this was all our dime.
Anything over 59,000 will be on the county. So, and the tough part here is that we have not only, myself, and, maybe some other internal county staff involved on looking at the design and reviewing and providing input to them. We also have MinDOT on their ends, so we all need to be agreement, before we really close this project out. So depending on how many iterations it takes to come up to a final solution, that work could change a little bit, but, we should be able to hold it pretty close to this dollar.
Our share will be roughly.
Yep.
59 to be picked up by the DOT.
Once you guys come up with a plan, you have to approve, DOT has to approve or make adjustments or changes according.
Yep, so the ultimate language, it's primarily the counties approving it because it's our contract. DOT wanted to have all their approval language in there, and we're like, if we're hiring the contractor, it's really our approval. But before any work gets done, before any final design gets completed, yes, fully DOT approval is needed.
Oh, sir, Highway 26.
Yep.
Gotta be on board.
Okay.
There was several designs discussed in previous meetings, all the way up to a fancy wishbone roundabout. So, but we thought that was
Oh, well, we'll have to see.
We're talking DOT.
well, they realized the cost factor too. Because of I make a motion, we approve the proposal, preliminary design work.
Okay.
For Stonebrook.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right. Other discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Carry. Number 11, consider approving the ag fuel contract and authorizing the engineer to sign the contract.
Yeah, so Houston County's been getting our fuel from AvFuel since 2015. We've had a contract with them since then. So the previous contract has expired, our agreement has expired. So I've been working with them to make some changes within it, also Tess and Attorney Yant. So we've been going back and forth, trying to make sure all the language in here is acceptable to the county and AvFuel. In essence, most of the changes we wanted are included within this. There's a few minor things that aren't in here, such as if there's some type of disagreement or dispute, that'll be dealt with in court over in Michigan instead of in Minnesota. We weren't able to get that changed within the agreement, but most of the other items we got to be how we wanted. Based on the recommendations of our attorney and myself, we recommend approving this agreement. There's limited amount of fuel suppliers. They've been doing a really good job for the county, and we'd like to keep working with them.
Question, comment?
They're pretty decent as far as responding when you need.
They've been really good. Yeah, so I mean, they provided training materials to us. If we only need a half a load worth of fuel, they try to find another airport that's close by that has a need for the other half, so that way we can split a load to save on the trucking costs. Whenever possible, we get a full load of fuel. But yeah, they've been really good that way.
Can you hold the full load?
Yes.
We're pretty low, but
No,
I know you probably don't have, there's so many gallons of aviation fuel do we go through? Just roughly.
It varies by the year. A lot of years we'll go through 8,000 to 12,000 gallons.
What's average?
In that
12 is
that-
every year, you always sell 8 to
a
12.
lot of times it'll be in the 8 to 10.
And it could be more and things get improved if that's way down the road. So we got information about the AvFuel. Is there question, comment? Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go with the Hayfield contract.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carry. An item. Go ahead.
You got a question for him too? I do too.
I'll go last. I got one too.
Okay.
What if we got him up here? We're not gonna let him go.
You're a popular man this morning.
Um. Contracting fuel for our trucks. We don't do that. Do we?
No, we use the local suppliers at the current rate. We could bid out fuel. So the counties that bid out fuel, what they do is usually it's based on what do they call the fuel rate at the
It's not the
distributor and
price that day or whatever. It's.
it's that day price plus so much added on top of that.
Fluctuates.
Yep, so it fluctuates by the order.
I just wondered because Fillmore County does that. Other counties do. Just where we ever considered.
We have considered it in the past, though, we've kind of always fallen back on with what they've been paying and what we've been paying. It's been pretty comparable by doing it, how we've been doing, we're getting it from the local suppliers. You just don't know who you're gonna get, but we can definitely pursue that if you want us to. We can definitely.
Oh, if there's some cost savings.
I think last year the local guy matched the contract.
It's been pretty close from what I've seen with what other ones have got in other counties versus what we've been paying. But we haven't actually bid it out. I mean, they would have the opportunity to bid it out as well.
I was just curious.
The idea of using contractors.
Well, the local contractors do it too.
Yeah.
It's not just, it doesn't exclude.
Sometimes it's more difficult for them to be price comparable when they're only buying 10,000 gallons a day, where some of these others buying 50,000 gallons a day.
Well, the local here, I mean, with our tank size, we're getting, 2, 3, 4,000 gallons at a time. And, by getting that local guy that has it right here by, we're able to get it, quickly when needed. So they've been doing really good that way on service side. We're not waiting for days or a week to get that fuel to us. We're getting it, day of next day.
Well, if you run out on a Sunday, he's gonna fill it. Somebody.
Yeah, I mean, the other issues, or other options, you run to the gas station, we run out of fuel. So it's not like we don't have other options, but.
Actually buy fuel at the pump too.
Okay,
My question was with regard to the legislature and transportation. Have you been following that? I mean, it sounds like they're gonna try and replace that CASA money that we lost.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of discussion as far as, at a minimum, get us back to the same as what we were last year. Our request from our association is to go up by 8%. Beyond that, inflation is 25 to 60%, so we're still behind on the inflation front, but our request is to go up the average of the previous 5 years, which is 8%. But it's looking real likely that we'll ultimately get up to last year's numbers.
$300,000-$400,000 of lost.
No, our
Doesn't matter.
Oh, it was 270.
yeah, but the total, so we had the total number, but then we have some of the number is our construction account, which doesn't affect our levy, and then we have our maintenance account money, which is the one that affects our levy. So so it might have been 270 total, but the amount that was less, I think the original budget change was maybe like 120. But then the final number ended up being a 2.5% reduction versus the original number was at 11% reduction. Then it got reduced down to 8% reduction. Actually, I think our final number ended up being like 3.5% reduction. So can't remember exactly where that final number ended up being and how it affects our levy. But I can definitely get that number and send it on to you. But I do think that we're going to ultimately become whole on that front.
This is just a one-time deal.
Well,
One-time injection.
A one-time injection to bring us back to last year, and then what, you know,
Proposal
but
is-
based on prediction is that, you know, fuel sales or vehicle sales are gonna go back up because you're gonna get more new vehicle. Really, the issues on funding this side or this time around, it's a lot less new vehicle sales, so there's less less tab fees and the sales tax from
Governor's
new vehicle
fixed the
sales.
tab.
There's been a lot of talk on potentially changing how tab fees go on the newer vehicle side especially. But yeah,
The sales tax. Auto parts.
that's being talked about.
That would help.
We gotta wait and see what they actually.
A lot of things can change between now.
Yeah, a lot of discussions. I mean, now there's discussions on, they may end up having 2 or 3 bonding bills instead of 1 bonding bill for transportation to help with some of these, you know, bridge projects and local road improvement and
Legislative update. See yesterday. They talked about, I got a 1.9 billion bonding bill proposed. It's been agreed upon, but it's being held up. They want tax cuts promised, and now they're kind of saying, well, we don't really want to do that. We could do this with a simple majority, because they have to have a super majority to do the bonding.
bonding. Yes,
So then if they backtrack and go to 1.5, they can do a simple majority.
they can do it by using cash
Right,
from the, yes.
so
Yeah,
I talked about that too.
yeah, but I'm sitting on updates every Monday morning, and every week there's a lot of changes from the week prior.
Yeah,
It's-
it's gonna be.
Don't take it to the bank until the check is here.
That's the 2022 one.
That didn't get passed last.
But
Yeah,
that's
the one that didn't get passed, yeah.
As I understand.
Yeah, I got a notice the other day, they gotta put $20 million into a grant fund for Wildcat, like cleaning boat landings, putting in new boat docks, could maybe get our bathroom put in. You heard anything about that?
So I don't know about 20 million. I know there's some state money through a citizens committee. That money goes into it, that there have been other parks that have been funded by it for bathrooms, for landings, for trails, which maybe you know, whether it's Wildcat, Bob Bodger Park, River Trail Extension, there's all kinds of different stuff that could apply for, but definitely a possibility that we can pursue in the future. Deadline for applying this year is March 31st. So really limited time, you know, when I first found out about that here just a few days ago. But yeah, so definitely an option that we can pursue for funding. Paving the entrance road, any type of improvements, I think we can definitely pursue that. Yes,
Can you apply for multiple facilities?
I think we can. There was some comments I heard on Monday from Carver County that they applied, and they must have got some of the funding. They said, you know, really the application up front's not too bad, but it's all the hoops and the tails to go through with reporting and stuff along the way that you really, you know, there's some involvement along the way for kind of documenting the process as you go. But I think we can definitely, yes, look at multiple options.
So you could do some for Wildcat, like the bath and whatnot, the road coming in. You could do for the river landing,
Oh, yeah.
but you still need that canoe landing thing.
I don't know, can you?
Probably could with what I've seen in the past with funding. It's, yeah, it's how do you, you know, the size of the project, how do you bundle it together? How do you get your project to get selected? So
But do you have to have solid plans to have this ready by March 31st?
that's where I don't know enough about it at this time. So I said for this year, we're probably too late in the game to consider going this route, but in future years, something we can look at. getting something put together for them.
If you could even try it or. Yeah, because we have, it's kind of too late, you know, we're 2 weeks away from that 31st time.
Start working on it for next year.
Yeah, but at least get, put it in our plan.
Look at the application aspect. You've seen the application.
I know it's a grant submittal. I haven't actually seen the documents of what needs to be submitted up front.
Nice to see what the document is and maybe push one through for this year and see what happens. The worst they can do is decline it, but then we're on record for next year.
That's a good point.
That would be a good idea. Slam something in there quick so we get out.
I can pull some stuff and look at it more closely
You
and,
have an engineer that can make an estimate.
oh, I mean, we can definitely put the stuff together. It's just, you know, what do we want to submit and, but I'll take a look at that and
We talked
Try to
about
push
the
them.
road, Wildcat, talked about that second bathroom and you talked about that, you know. Anything on the river?
Still a
Yep.
debate on who's responsible for that. Have you heard from Starley on that?
I haven't, yeah, I mean, it sounds like the DNR is responsible, but they don't have the time to do it.
Or desire.
That might be as much as anything. but
My next question then is, I see you put the lines out at the Barth property out there, you.
Well, the stake, yes, yep.
See it goes right through that barn, does that barn gotta come down or can that barn stay slower than that other building?
So I don't know on the height of the building and that would be determined based on the aerial survey that would need to be done. So that answer, we might not have that, or we wouldn't have that official answer from the FAA for probably 2 years. So,
Yeah, well, the project ain't gonna sit there 2 years, I can tell you that.
yeah, so depending on what we purchase, how that ultimately plays out, that barn. Yeah, may need to come down, maybe it could stay for a little bit.
Kicker of the sale. The barn comes down, we're gonna be stuck with 6 acres. Keep the barn and not tear that down.
I thought we voted to buy all 6 acres.
Yeah, we did.
But there's negotiations going on with.
Yeah, I was trying to negotiate a deal here to get us up, but it's not working out right now. It might change. I got
Well-
another guy that's interested in buying it too. So, all depends on. your- That barn can stay standing there. Troubles.
Yeah, what they prefer is everything within the BRL 25-foot height, unless that area is clear down to the ground. You know, we're not having any buildings in it, but there might be some way of working around that as long as we're underneath the airspace restriction. I believe that I just don't have that.
Can't sell it with the barn gonna be standing. There. It's gonna probably have to be torn down. Is that what you're gonna do?
I think that that's probably where things are gonna be leading unless, you know, if there's no other option, but if we can acquire that land, and that one building remain, there might be some option where you can put a light on it. And maybe that would be sufficient to satisfy the FAA to have a red light on top.
Okay.
Any other questions for? You had a busy day today.
Thanks for staying.
Thank you. I'll let you guys move on to something else.
Oh, we're done. We're close to being done.
Now it's discussion time. We'll have a little change up. We'll do, I'll be last today, so we'll start with Greg and work this way. So anything going on, Greg?
We didn't have much for meetings and I've been dealing on this airport deal here.
Okay.
And, I'll give you a little more information at the next meeting, I guess, if it goes on. As far as that, I got a zoning hearing on the 23rd. What's up? Not much else to talk about, I guess.
Okay,
Problems. That's all I got.
Mr. Schultz.
We had land use meeting this morning. Pretty much everything we talked about there was covered at the commission meeting here. I guess the only other comment that I got is township elections are today.
Tonight?
so-
Yep.
Annual meetings too.
Yeah,
Annual
annual
meetings.
meeting tonight and tomorrow.
You had a busy meeting last night, didn't you? Did you go to township meeting last night?
No, I didn't go to it.
Oh, okay. It looked like a lot of cars there.
No, I think they had something going on at the fire station, but they actually had a few visitors for once.
Oh, okay.
They told me.
All right. That's it then?
Yep.
Robert,
Okay. Since the last meeting, I went to the Crescent Job Fair project, and that looked really good. I talked to a lot of the presenters, a lot of the employers there, and they were happy with the numbers of people that were coming to see them, and things were, I was surprised at how much actual need there is in the county as far as job openings and whatnot, part-time, full-time. And for kids coming out of high school versus going to school, and the different proposals that they make if you come to work for us and what they'll pay for school for you as an employee. So it was kind of interesting to talk to all of them. I did, in talking to the National Guard guys. They come off. Their handshakes are firm.
you know it.
You know it when you shake hands, those guys, but it was very good. And then we had an airport meeting on Thursday last week, a Zoom meeting. And then I had SEMCAC meeting last night in Casson with regard to all the different things that are going on with SEMCAC, expansion, growth, property buying, hiring people. They're working on more food sources and more senior meals as far as giving more available meals to seniors in the counties that they serve. So that was interesting. At our community services meeting this morning with everybody, and that was a good meeting. I'll let Louis expound on that. I am going to the Caledonia Township meeting tonight, their annual meeting, and doing that. I listened to the same AMC meeting that I saw your name on. In the but they covered a lot of things. Transportation was one of them. And like Eric mentioned, they're talking about tab fee increases, auto parts sales tax on car sales, the delivery fees, one-time CASA makeup for the last revenue. That's the one-time deal. IIJA state match and the metro sales tax stanza, which doesn't make any difference to us. But the, environment talked, all the different aspects talked. Local public health has got some interesting things going on as far as the services and the leads and exposures that they're dealing with. Public safety also was interesting. So there's all kinds of stuff going on at the legislature. We aren't going to know what's going to happen. They get close to the end. Because it's like Eric said, the House passed the bonding bill, the 2022 bonding bill was the 1.5 in the bonding bill and 670,000 in cash. Got to the Senate and they're putting it, it's dead on arrival unless they get tax cuts. And now it goes back to the House, and the House can pass it if they do it in cash instead of a bonding bill, since they got the money available. So we'll see if the House and the Senate battle on that. Lots of things going on. Wetlands is another thing that they're working on as far as the wetland replacement to get more available projects. I could talk a long time. What they talked about, I'm not going to do anymore. Turn it over to Larry.
Well, you covered it pretty good. But it's all subject to change and it's not final yet. So you kind of hate to say what's going to be in there and it's not.
I got one thing I got to mention.
Go ahead.
I've been talking with Deed with regard to broadband for Houston County. And they got the map that shows different areas that are covered. And, the different territories, and they can change. You got somebody that's supposed to do an area and they're not doing it, you can have a change. I talked to My Energy, used to be Tri-County. You can put those lines above ground. And there's a possibility that, talking to Brian Crambier from My Energy, that maybe we could work out a program where they they work in conjunction with the providers, be it Spring Grove or Centec, you know, whoever's providing. And use the above ground electrical. Problem being is the line would be below the electrical and makes it low so that it becomes a hazard because you might hit it. But there's a new technique that you can possibly put it on the cross arms along with the electric lines. That's where you'd have to be in conjunction, because their guys would have to put it on the pole. When it runs down, then the telephone company runs out. But if they do a program like that, it might be something that we can work out to get some coverage to these valleys where it's expensive as heck and nobody wants to put the underground in, but if you do it above ground, it just allows it to be a lot cheaper.
Especially where there's places where you can't bury.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of rock.
Well, I got like, Houston, Eastern town, they're a half, quarter mile, to the east of me. Spring Grove Communications, they got buried lines a quarter mile in the south, north of me. So I'm right here and I got internet there and I got internet there, but they want 16,000 to bring it from over there to here. And I
There
don't know.
is grant money from the state. I think it's up to $25,000 to access a person's property.
A person or
A person.
a person.
So there is potential to look into that too, as far as getting it from there to you, using that funding through.
But who has to make that application? The
person.
provider
The
or
person. Person.
The household.
also, okay.
So there is some potential to get moving forward on this. Fillmore County is doing a project with a Centec, and they loaned a Centec $75,000 so that it shows county participation in the project, which
We did that
helps get the
too.
We
project.
did that with the
We did that
Centec,
too in Houston County.
with EDA funds, yeah.
Mhm.
So if we got county participation, it doesn't take as much money as you would think to get something put together. So
But our biggest issue is this area that the Centec or Spring Grove don't have control of. This block of, that's,
The big one.
and you can work around that too.
well, if they're not
It's
doing,
my understanding that the company has to actually bow out though, and they haven't done
What
that.
Dee told me now. They're
You,
not doing it.
you can develop it, but it excludes you from that state or federal funding.
Well, the guy from Houston.
well, the thing is that they're not doing anything.
I think it expires though in 2026, but the
That's-
frustrating part is like with our ARPA dollars,
That's long.
we have to have it used by 2026, so the timing is not great.
There's no way to accelerate to boot them out because they're not doing anything.
I mean, it would be nice if they would bow out, but I mean, I can try again. I've tried before to.
Well, I mean, they've had how many years since they got that and they've done nothing.
Yeah, that was a,
Performance.
they were awarded like pre-COVID and then COVID hit and there was the big push for it and we're still,
They still didn't do it.
Well, the guy from Houston, he told me that I'd have to get permission from Spring Grove for them to bring that line over to my house, because I'm in Spring Grove's territory.
You're probably in their territory, yeah.
So, I mean, they can't jump territory, so Spring Grove don't come by my place, I'm pretty much screwed.
Well, you'd have to lobby Spring Grove. then.
Guess I could.
Well, I guess
Being that you're a commissioner.
you'd
And
think
they
that
did.
the two phone companies could kind of do some trade-offs occasionally. It's not that.
They're pretty tight on territory.
Yeah,
You know,
I think the circle in the middle is central.
I think it's LTD that got the federal money that can't be touched. Some big,
It's not a meet around here.
big conglomerate.
Yeah, I talked to from Dean says you can go, you can go around them if they're not doing the project. Maybe that's 2026 you're talking about. I'll have to get back.
yeah, it's my understanding that yes, like if a Centec wanted to say develop that area or Spring Grove Communications wanted to, they could. but they could not use state or federal money on it. That is what someone at Deed has told me, and if that's incorrect, yeah, find out, and let me know.
They're enough, they're not willing to do that because they can't get state or federal money.
Yeah, like a lot of Ascentex projects, for example, they have the border to border funding. They wouldn't be able to use that, you know, so
So they want to concentrate on their own territory before they try to tackle that.
I mean, they usually, I don't want to speak for them, but they're prioritizing projects that they can get, you know, the state or federal money to help with. It makes sense as a business decision.
We know Wilmington, they get royalties off Spring Roads.
Although, like in Harmony, they were awarded because Deed also had a COVID-19 broadband grant, and like Harmony was awarded, and then they ended up deciding that they were just gonna do the project out of pocket because it was so complicated with the grant reporting. And I can vouch for that because they're working with the same department that I work with for SCDP, and it is not easy when it comes to reporting. It's hours upon hours upon hours of reporting. Now, Deed is coming out with some new funding for broadband, and maybe they're changing some of those previous rules. So that is good that you're talking to them and good to find out, but
We talked about that.
Would you say those initials were on the telephone company?
LTD,
LTD,
DT,
LT as in Tom,
D,
D as in David,
limited.
I think. I can double check that, or they should know, but
Last Thursday, I attended a local work group meeting with Soil and Water and NRCS, and they discussed some of the projects that are in doing. They did 11 out of the 14 projects. Houston County is a source protection area, so there was quite a few people there. There was people from townships. Martin was there. They had a gal from Trout Unlimited there. Water board was there, quite a few people, the room was full, so they talked about concerns and projects and had questions came up about for doing small projects, quick fixes and stuff like that, and that's where it's trouble with the NRCS because of the requirements that they have to get a project done is a lot of engineering, and some people say it's over engineering. They do over engineer a lot of stuff, probably for a good reason, but. So the subject came up of possibly, and I don't want to talk out of turn here, but a local water levy program in the county to handle some of these smaller projects. And they want to have levy authority to do that. But this is all preliminary talk, so evidently, does Caledonia have that?
Do we not already have a levy?
We have a Crooked Creek watershed. But he mentioned that Caledonia, city of Caledonia or something like that too.
In the water outflow.
It's a levy.
They got South Fork Dam, that's where a lot of. Water.
It's on a city bill.
Yeah.
The water
Right.
charge.
Yeah.
No. Well, I don't know how they.
That's to take
It's
care
a
of
tax.
different outfall for the water from the city storms.
Goes out to the country.
To take care of the waterways within the city limits. Mitigate erosion.
Well, that's where the talk turned quite a bit to that subject. You might be hearing more about that. See, I told them to put together a proposal if they were interested or whatever. Bob covered the land use pretty well. I don't have anything else.
okay? This morning, we had a community service meeting. The new van is now wrapped and in our building, ready to go for veteran services. Rob is currently helping Lacrosse Veteran Services with one of their CSO's new training. Commented on that. Bethany was part of our discussion this morning, gave us an update on the number of foster homes we have. Number of licensed daycares, still trying to figure out how to maintain or take care of behavior issues in some of the foster homes. Trying to look at other counties. Can't find them. We have some people as far away as Dodge County or more, I think. Or the other one, but John talked about end of this month as the SNAP project is gonna cease, and there's some people are
The
looking for
emergency,
the emergency one, yeah. And they're kind of seeing a big change in the number of people attending the food shelves and so on. The nurse fill-in, the fill-in the nurse gonna be starting the 27th. A little bit of discussion about funds coming down the board from the opioid and keeping that separated for accounting purposes. And that was that. Last week I was part of a meeting. First one was with the Southeastern Minnesota EMS. Point of note, Mitch Lentz from our neighboring county is chairman of that group this year, and Cheryl from Wabasha County is going to be the vice chair. Advertising for more EMTs. Mayo Clinic, who is part of this group that I'm on, is sending out some TV ads, trying to get people interested in being EMTs, working with our ambulances and so on. Sounds like the agreement between Caledonia and Spring Grove is still going forward. If it's not done, I'm not sure, but they commented about that they're trying to get that involved. Narcan being used quite often. They're gonna start distributing it more often too. So making it more accessible. I think those are the highlights of that. And then I was involved with the workforce development meeting. And the highlights of that. Looking for people. Every place is looking for help. Help wanted, this and that. Let's see, I think that's about it. It's the same old, same old. Shortage of people want to work or working in some of the fields. And those are my 3 meetings in addition to this. That bring up anything,
Nice
stimulate?
job, Allison, last Thursday over there in the present, that was very nice. I got about 5 more people that want to come next year.
Sounds good.
But to get a bigger place or set up more tables.
They'll have to bring their own table. We used all their tables. But we'll fit them in.
it was good to hear the positive news, Houston County and TV stations for once.
Yeah, worked out good. Any other things for good of the cause? Carol have something on to comment on, or nice and quiet today? Anything else for the good of the cause? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Public comment.
Public comment. No, those Bennett and otherwise it's all.
It's all county.
Okay. Keep forgetting that one. Entertain a motion.
Yes, sir, I do.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sure. All in favor, say yeah. Aye. Thank you all.